I've always loved the 35mm focal length. There's just something about it that looks great as a wide, it looks great as a tight. It's just kind of natural, it's a good balance, and it's always been one of my favorite lenses. I've also always really loved the Sigma Art Series lenses. I've had them from when I got my first 5D Mark IV all the way now to when I'm shooting on my C70 with the speed booster. I'm still using mostly Sigma Art Series EF mount lenses, and I still love them to this day. Now, it's no secret that Canon's new RF lenses are really good. They're sharp, they're fast autofocus, they're really great, but they're also really expensive. And for me, I love the full frame look I get with the speed booster on the Canon C70. So my lens choice a lot of times is my Sigma Art Series. I have the 35, I have the 50, I have the 24, I have the 24 to 70. All of these lenses get used on a regular basis and probably are the most used lenses in my kit. Out of all the Art Series lenses, the 35 has been my go-to as of late. I just love that focal length. There's something about it paired with the C70 that just creates some of the most beautiful images. And I think this lens is probably one of the best values that you can get out there right now in terms of a solid, fast, prime lens. One of the biggest things you should look for when buying gear in general is value. What does this cost monetarily, and then what is it gonna bring me in terms of results when I'm actually making videos in the field doing things? And I feel like this lens absolutely nails that category. With being able to find this lens brand new for 700 bucks and used for 500 or less, it's one of the best options on the market, and it creates some of the most beautiful images. The last video I posted on the channel was shot entirely with this 35mm lens. I had gone out to actually test the lens, ended up creating a little mini film out of it. You can go check that out here. I think it turned out pretty cool, but you can get a good feel for exactly how this lens performs on the C70. It can be extremely cinematic. I know that's a buzzword, but it can be extremely cinematic. It can create beautiful images, and a lot of it is about knowing how to compose images and frame shots, of course, and lighting and all the things, but you can really do a lot with a 35mm focal length, and it can feel different even though you're shooting on the same lens. You can get a really nice wide shot, and you can get a good medium, and even a really good close-up with this lens because it has a great minimal focus distance. It pairs so nicely with the speed booster on the C70. It gives you this beautiful full frame look that I think is absolutely stunning. And I've not really noticed any issues with autofocus of this lens, to be honest. It's performed really well. Everything that I needed it to do, it's done for the most part. I think the limitations probably have been the C70 more than the lens itself. We all know the C70 has good autofocus, but it's not the best. But when this lens is on my R6 Mark II, it performs flawlessly. I never have any issues other than the fact that the lens focus motor is kind of loud. So if you had, you know, an onboard shotgun mic, you will hear the little ticking of the lens, which is really annoying. So for some people, that's kind of a deal breaker. But for me, I don't really use a shotgun mic in that capacity anymore, so it's not a huge deal unless you're vlogging, which I wouldn't vlog with 35mm anyway, or if you are trying to record, you know, sound design and things like that, then you could just flip it to manual focus and just record that sound design and pull focus that way. That's what I normally do anyway, or I just add sound design in post regardless. So that's really the major downside of the autofocus, is just the noise level, but honestly, it performs really well. The lens looks really good wide open. It looks good stop down. There's a bunch of different examples within that little short film that I posted last week. You can see there. I think the autofocus and the quality of this lens is really solid for the price. Plus, it just has really nice contrast. It's one of my favorite things about the Sigma Art Series stuff. They're just punchy, and I like punchy images, and a lot of times I'm going to end up doing that in post anyway. So for it to already give me a nice contrast level, I really enjoy, and I think they look great paired with Canon colors in this C70 sensor. Now, I'm not going to do a full breakdown of sharpness and chromatic aberration and compare it to anything else like that. You can see the chromatic aberration. It is there on some of these backlit shots. You can see it in the trees there, but honestly, it's not a huge deal. I don't mind it. I like lenses that bring character. This definitely has character. The bokeh quality is fantastic. I love the way that looks. It's kind of nice and smooth. It just has an overall really nice, somewhat characterized look to the lens, and I think it looks fantastic as opposed to some more clinical 35s that I've used in the past. The only thing I don't love about this lens is sometimes the flares. I don't really love. You can see here at the bottom of the frame, it's kind of a purple looking flare. It's not my favorite. It's a little distracting. It's a little jarring. But other than that, as long as you keep the lens away from flares or position it in a way that they're not obnoxious, you can really get some beautiful images. That's probably my only big complaint about it, was the flares themselves. For example, you can kind of see in this shot here as I'm leaning over the railing, the flares look fantastic. They don't look weird at all. I think this looks great. There are certain situations where the flares look awesome and others where they don't. I think you just kind of have to pick and choose and pay attention to that when you're framing and composing your shots. This 35 has probably moved into my desert island lens list at this point, to be completely honest with you. I just think it's that good. For some reason, it's just been really inspiring when I've used it as of late. And that's a good metric for me to use a piece of kit or not. If it doesn't fit into that category of inspiring, a lot of times it ends up sitting and collecting dust, and I end up offloading it and selling it. I go through gear a lot. I buy things, try it. If it doesn't work, I will sell it. I'm no stranger to that. Those that know me closely know that I buy and sell a lot, but that's just kind of how I operate. If it's something that doesn't bring value, then a lot of times I'll give it up. But I would highly recommend this 35 to anybody that's still on the EF mount gang, that's using the speed booster on a C70, or even with my R6. I love it with that. I love it for taking photos. It takes beautiful images. So if you want a lens that gets you a $1,500 plus look for only $700, $500 used, this is the lens for you. I highly recommend it. Force yourself to use one focal length. Make a film with one focal length. It's really challenging, but it's inspiring at the same time because it forces you to figure out how to get different shots with one lens that feel different, even though it's the same. Also, shameless plug, if you like the color grade on this footage, I did it with my own custom LUT packs. I have C-Log 2, I have C-Log 3 LUTs, and I also have adjustment layer LUTs. There was also some film emulation done here with Dehancer, but it was primarily done with my LUT pack with just a little bit of grain sprinkled on top. And I think it turned out really good. I love these LUTs. I use them all the time. You can also check out the full breakdowns of actually how I color grade and how I use these LUT packs. And yes, I use them for every project I do. These LUT packs are being used. I'm not exaggerating. It's stuff that I use on a regular basis. So I'm not selling you something that I don't believe in and I don't use myself. So if you're interested in that, go check those out. Link is in the description. It's just a great way to support the channel. And I appreciate each and every one of you who have already done that and purchased these LUT packs. It allows me to keep making these videos and keep doing what I do. So go check out this lens if you're looking for something that is a great value that gets you fantastic results. As always, keep practicing your craft. Go out there and shoot stuff. That's exactly what I did with this short film. I just went out there to test the lens and it turned into something more, something that was on my mind, and it just kind of morphed into this little short film that I was kind of really proud of. I think it turned out really cool. It was weird filming yourself. It's not conventional. It never is going to be fun to film yourself, in my opinion. It's never going to not be awkward, but it's a part of practicing your craft and getting composition. Sometimes you don't have access to people to be able to shoot with, and you have to figure it out on your own. So get out there and make something, even if it's just you or whoever else you can find. Just make the video, make the film. It'll be refreshing, it'll be rewarding to you. Don't worry about what anybody thinks. Just get out there and make art and go do stuff that inspires you. As always, I appreciate you. I will catch you in the next one.